My name is Laurie Tretter-Larkin, and I am the assistant principal at Blades Elementary School and the district co-chair for character education for the Mehlville School District. All right, so we're here today just to kind of tell you about our process in Mehlville and how we have gone through this journey of becoming a national district of character. We did give you a contact sheet, so if you have any questions at the end, you can email any of us. All right, so as I said, Mehlville School District, National District of Character. This is our character touchstone, caring people, changing lives. It's who we are. We're going to talk about how that was developed later on in the presentation. All right, so how many people are from St. Louis? I just need a show of hands, and some are from Mehlville. So Mehlville School District is actually south of here. It encompasses all parts of Mehlville, Oakville, Concord, and Lee. It's about a half hour from this location. It's a fully accredited school district, and it serves the educational needs of about 11,000 students. And it's a growing community of more than 90,000 residents within a 44 square mile area. So the mission and guiding principles of Mehlville is the mission of Mehlville School District is to ensure that all students reach their potential by preparing them to be lifelong learners and responsible citizens through a dramatic curriculum, student-centered instruction, a safe and nurturing environment, and community collaboration. So our guiding principles are institutional excellence, fiscal responsibility, and community benefit.
In our district, we have, you can see up there, we have a pretty large district, 2 high schools, 4 middle schools, 10 elementary schools, and 1 early childhood center, and 2 alternative programs are housed in Mehlville School District. One additional thing that Laurie mentioned is the mission and the vision. Our district has one kind of global mission and vision, but one kind of uniqueness that we like to say in Mehlville School District is, with Character Ed, is we've kind of given all schools the autonomy to embed character within their buildings as they see fit. So what looks in Beasley in Character Ed might look a little different at the high school level, might look a little different at the alternative academy. So the mission at Mehlville High School is a little different, but that's okay. That meets the needs of our kids, and that meets the needs at Beasley. And that's what we love about Character Ed in the Mehlville School District, and you're going to find that when you look at our application, or you just look at Character Ed within the Mehlville School District. So again, we have a huge district. It would be silly for us to stand up here and say that Character Ed looks the very same for all of our kids, because obviously you see how large our district is. All of our kids aren't the same. So that is the one thing we learned when we started surveying maybe our community, we started surveying our kids, our teachers, is they didn't want it to be the same, and we knew that it could not. So you'll find that our missions are very different, but that's okay. It all kind of globally goes under that one vision of Character Ed.
Here is just our demographics, kind of looking at where we are at in the Mehlville School District. And we're not going to read that to you, but this is kind of where we're at as a school district. One thing we do kind of like to point out is that our spending per pupil is lower than the state average. So we do a lot with a little, but it just takes a team to do that. So we'd like to feature some of our students for you.
From everybody in the Mehlville School District, to all our new friends at Riverview Gardens,
we've got just one thing to say.
Welcome.
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 Welcome. As the superintendent of the Mehlville School District, I'd like to be the first to say hello and to invite you into our school district and to become part of our student population that we cherish and work so well with on a daily basis.
We're a pretty big district.
We have 10 elementary schools.
We have 4 middle schools.
And 2 high schools.
Our students come from homes where more than 50 languages are spoken.
But once you're inside our buildings, it feels a lot smaller.
It feels like family. It feels like home. During your first week here, you might feel a little lost.
Hey, I felt the same way when I was new.
When you're not sure where to go, no problem.
Just ask anyone. They'll help you get to the class, the gym, or the cafeteria.
Teachers in the Mehlville School District take education very seriously.
Yeah, they do, but they work hard to make learning fun too.
Computer labs? Yeah, we've got computer labs.
Large libraries with lots of books? We got those too.
And the principals, they're all really nice.
Nice? Who you calling nice?
We Mehlville District principals aren't nice.
We are so incredibly mean, it's listed on our business cards.
I practice my mean face every morning.
No, it's true. We are nice. Just don't tell the superintendent.
If you sing or play an instrument, join one of our bands or choirs.
Hey kids, check this out. It's a new auditorium.
Speaking of new, check out this tennis complex.
Whether it's football, basketball, or any sport, why not try out for our teams?
For elementary students, we have great playgrounds.
We're working to become a national district of character, and you can help.
So we watch.
Don't worry. You're going to have a great time.
So don't forget, school starts August 15th, and we're looking forward to seeing you in our classrooms.
Well, and that's just one example of a video that the Mehlville School District does, but every month there's a character video, and Alex is here right now as part of our communications department, but each month for the character word of the month, a video just like that, very similar to that. The kids are featured in that video from all across the district, and it's well received, and it has humor in it, as you saw, and the kids really enjoy that, so it's fun to watch, and we're featured in it as administrators and staff members. And the kids really enjoy to see themselves, and so we featured that all across the district. But that was just one example of a really fun video that you could use to incorporate, whether it be the character word of the month, or your expectations, or your universals, or whatever you love to see, and the kids really do enjoy that across the district.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, yeah, pre-K to 12. I mean, we're featuring kids pre-K to 12 every month, and then those are showed throughout the district. Just one way we can bring that kind of same message and that focus to everyone throughout the district. So that's just one way. So in a district our size, it's like, how do you figure out what everyone's doing, and how do we kind of share ideas, or how do we inventory? So the very first part of our journey was years ago, and this inventory we started. What we thought was, we need to see where everyone's at, because we know that character ed isn't something extra, it's something people are probably already doing. And so we needed to see what buildings were doing. And so we just asked principals, asked character teams to list by principal what you're doing. Let's just start brainstorming. And people were pleasantly surprised that they were already doing these things. Do you want to add to that, Andrea?
Yes, and I would say, like, in our buildings, it also had people share ideas to develop new ideas. So, like at my school and a lot of the other elementary schools, we had done a lot of service projects. And once we started doing the inventory, it was interesting. I had teachers who started saying, well, how can we make this, we do a lot of these things, but how can we do less things and maybe do a better job at it? Can we look at the quality of them? And we started questioning, okay, how can we turn this into a service learning instead of just a service project? So I think the inventory just gave us a really good way to kind of evaluate ourselves before anybody was saying you needed an assessment, evaluation, or anything. It gave us a good starting point for what are we doing that we like, and how can we change that and make that even better.
Also, it gave us, what principles are we not hitting? Are we really good with principle 5 and doing these things in this outreach, but principle 6 maybe we're a little weaker at, so how can we make ourselves better at certain principles? That principal page is on our district website for your access also. So everything that we're going to talk about, all the documents, are on the Mehlville School District webpage, and we'll show you where those are at the end of the presentation. Then kind of the next step that how we got further into the process was we just started to see, wow, we're doing these things, with the inventory, and then we just started to apply for promising practices. The first year, I think there was maybe, you have the sheet in front of you. There was a few, and then it grew every year. So we just encourage people to be sharing those wonderful things that they're doing and applying for promising practices.
I was going to say, some of our administrators have attended LACE. I'm a LACE grad. I know Shannon's a LACE grad. We have a lot of other administrators. So, and if you go through LACE, part of what you do is you work on your building plan. And so if you have the opportunity to do that, it's a great opportunity. You have to be able to take stuff from Marvin a little bit and be able to stand up to him and say, hey, I know this is good for my school and things like that, but he really challenges you, and Mary Ann does as well, and helps you look at, kind of get you out of that comfort zone a little bit. So that was a great experience. And then we have quite a few staff that are certified, and they take the 3 courses through CharacterPlus. and get certified in character ed as well. So I think that's a great place because, again, you're getting that commonality of everyone's had those same 3 classes, and everyone can say, oh, I understand the 11 principles better, and things like that. The other thing that was on there a little bit is that our support staff, we really didn't feel like our bus drivers and other people that worked in our school, maybe our secretaries, they're such an integral part of your school, your custodians of that, really weren't on the same level as our teachers, and we saw that. We were doing a lot of PD with our teachers, but we were forgetting some of those people. Even though we were doing a lot with them in our building, we weren't really training them. And so we've looked at that, and we actually, like as elementary school and middle school and high school, we came and did like bus expectations, and then we talked about, okay, from those expectations, how do we want to integrate character ed with that? So we've been doing more and more training with our support staff.
We also not only went to CharacterPlus, but we did go to neighboring districts who were successful in character education, and they mentored us. And I think that's the beauty of character education, that everyone is a friend and a partner in that. So we did go and reach out to Lindbergh School District, and we did reach out to Fox School District also in that process and ask them, what has worked for you? What have you seen successes in? As we were going through this process.
The other great thing is Mehlville is really good at networking just naturally. So we have monthly principal meetings. There's always a character ed focus as a part of that principal meeting, and that comes from top down, bottom up. It's just a part of kind of like we always say, who we are. And then our district also set aside days where we could just meet at school. So I could sit down with Blaze, who I don't get to see Lori all the time, and her staff and my staff could sit down and we could go through our applications together. We could go through what we were doing, what we were struggling with. A lot of our schools have adopted ideas from other schools right in our district. There were great things going on all around us.
Okay, Project Engage came out of a committee that formed. We said we need to do something within the community to bring back. And we wanted not only to do a service project with this, but there's just this learning piece. And so we came up with Project Engage, just this one community focus. Again, with a little autonomy though also. We wanted, the goal with Project Engage was that we would have 100% of our student population give back in some way to the community. And so Engage stood for enriching our neighborhoods through generous actions, growth, and empowerment. It was a process. It wasn't, one meeting and we came up with this idea. We probably worked for about 6 months on it, off and on, and we came up with, we're going to encourage our students. We're going to bring in, organizations who need help. We're going to have students lead this process, classes. The teacher says, what would you like to do? How would you like to give back? And then we're going to have students just write about that, how they felt, how the other people felt in that project. And so this was just a push to give back to the community, with also just having those students reflect on how they felt and how they gave back to the community.
And that reflection piece was key. In all your schools, you're already doing this stuff, but we just had a concerted effort that, let's just not collect cans, let's not go Wrigley's. Why are we doing this? What benefit to the receiver, to yourself? What did you get out of it? And that reflection piece was really emphasized during Project Engage. We've always been doing it. This is just kind of a name and umbrella that was put under it.
And that united effort, I think that everyone was doing the same thing under the same kind of idea, and it just united all of us into doing more and more things as a district, instead of, like, my building would do this on our own, but maybe we didn't get with middle school or high school or other elementary schools. So I think that was a big plus too. We were all working towards the same common goal.
Mm-hmm. Just naming it, I think, in itself gave that purpose, that united purpose. Okay, we talked a little bit about autonomy and sharing throughout the school district, and we just wanted to give you a few ideas or things that we have done as a district. During EOC days, you want to talk about that? Yep.
Sure. So we have, at the high school level, our state tests are called EOCs, and so not every student in the building is taking an EOC, so our freshmen have to take a lot of EOC tests, but the upperclassmen don't have as many. So we were trying to figure out how can we have a testing environment that is quiet and still keep everyone engaged in the learning process. So we decided to send out our students who are not testing to do service learning projects. So what we do on those days is we have pretty much 2 full days blocked out for state testing, and we do the state test. The students who are testing stay in the building. The other students go out into the community and do service learning projects during that time. So they have advisory classrooms that work together to develop a plan of what kind of projects can they do. And it's not just a service project, it is a service learning project. So there is the reflection piece, they work together. Sometimes it's a planning over a long term, but sometimes it's going to an elementary school and helping with their field day. A lot of the elementary schools arrange their field days to be on those same days so our students can go and participate with that. They do other projects throughout the community as needed, and we contact different community organizations to ask if they would need help, or the students can also initiate that and contact places they would like to go to do the project. So we do that as a school-wide effort, and it helps our students really focus on that service learning piece. And then they have to come back and write a reflection on what they've learned and what they've done. And so it's really been a good push for that. And then students who are still, they don't test all day long, students who stay and after the test are still there, then they do some team building activities, which helps with our character ed as well. So they stay with their class and do some team building activities out on the football field or in the gym to work to kind of grow us as a family. Since the school is so big, it helps our 2,000 students kind of come into like a smaller family group with their advisory group. So that helps out with that. Yeah, and then we do some other projects that are district-wide. Shoebox project is done by our National Honor Society, and what they do is they take shoeboxes and ask for donations for things like toothbrushes, any other personal care supplies, as well as small toys, socks, things like that will fit in the shoebox. And the students bring shoeboxes, and then they wrap them. And then at the holiday season, they deliver those to other schools that are in need. They take those to children. But we get the whole district involved because the elementary school's children bring in items and then they're shipped over to our school, and then our students pack those into the shoe boxes and then go as a group to deliver those. So that's another just example of how the district works together to do those projects.
And I would say the high school students, they come and visit a lot, and they introduce and they talk about what they're doing. So our elementary kids, they always look up to those high school students. It doesn't matter if the kids are going to Oakville or Mehlville. If the kids come, those high school kids come, the elementary kids just look up to them and really try to give what they can for the project. So it's very united. You want to talk about JDRF Walk?
Yes, and one thing about the shoebox project too, since I'm at the elementary level, we didn't get to go deliver the boxes, and I had almost every classroom do at least one shoebox. Some classrooms did multiple shoeboxes, so the kids wanted to see the kids opening them, and our communication department did an awesome video, so we got to show that as a school. So that even though we couldn't take the whole school district to deliver the boxes, but in a way we did. They got to see them, so we try to make those connections all the time. The JDRF is Juvenile Diabetes Walk, and we took that on as a district. In each school it looks a little bit different, but all of us united and did that as a service learning. Some schools that had maybe a student who had diabetes, like my school did, we did a little bit more with it, and other schools did less with the education piece maybe, but you adapted it to your school, and we did that as a district. And raised a lot of money for that. We had a lot of parent involvement in that piece as well. It's a great way to get your parents involved in the service learning piece of it, and kind of sponsoring those types of events and things like that. The Beer Bomb Davis Family Support, we had a couple tragedies, and one of them was we lost a student in a fire right at the beginning of the school year, and it was a student at Beer Bomb, and so the district, kids in the district kept saying, how can we help them, how can we help them? They wanted to help families. And so as a district, we had a Beer Bomb Day. We all dressed in Beer Bomb colors and were buffaloes for the day. That's their mascot. Things like that. We did a lot of different fundraisers and different things to try to help the Davis Family Foundation and support. And I know that was something that I hadn't seen in other places, how much the schools support each other as far as wearing each other's colors or having days for each other and things like that. We do that for several different supporting causes.
Grants for Kids was something housed at the Alternative Center. In our building, we have students, elementary and high school students. The Stretch the Gifted program is housed in our building. It was a simple crayon collection. That we collected crayons. We partnered with an organization that works in Nicaragua, sending school supplies. We collected broken crayons throughout the district. So, kindergartners were able to go through their room, find all their broken crayons, drop them in a bucket, and they were brought to a centralized location. About 4 months, we filled about 100 gallons worth of broken crayons that we had shipped. And then for our students, they were filling out, making brochures about poverty in Nicaragua and the disparity between the haves and have-nots there, to how much we're throwing away that we discard that people can use. So there's a lot of topics to draw on from that.
As we were talking before, we do share as a district. This is just a huge, I guess, proud point that we want to come across. But something that's a little unique, we thought, was that our PTOs share. And so I know, Audrey, you want to talk more about the PTOs?
Yeah, it's the principals, we're talking, and a lot of our PTOs wanted to meet other PTOs. And I know in some districts you'll have like a PTO president type forum or something like that. We didn't have anything like that. But what we started doing is, like I had one of the other elementary schools, PTO came and visited my school. So they did some school visits and things like that. Some of our PTO members visited other schools just to get ideas of what schools were doing and how they were supporting each other. Sometimes it might be something they just want to purchase something, they want to see it at another school. It could be that simple, but they started sharing more and talking and getting that parent involvement piece, because that was at my school, that's probably our biggest struggle, was that parent involvement piece and getting them, to see what other parents are doing. And so our PTOs have really started sharing more and more, and I think that's a great way to get that character ed out there.
District intervention.
Well, we all have the district intervention teams to work together to make sure all of our kids' needs are met, especially at the high school, middle school, and elementary level. That kind of goes with our transition programs. At the high school level, we have Connect, and that just kind of bridges the gap between middle school and high school, but just making sure that as they, get to be high school kids, that they feel very comfortable. We have about a, 98% attendance rate in August. We basically run through a traditional high school day where all incoming ninth graders run through their whole entire schedule before school starts. And they have lunch there, they get their locker, they get their ID. They're partnered with a mentor for an entire school year. In there, we have a teacher advisory program. So an upperclassman is partnered with a freshman TAP class, and they meet with them on a regular basis, talking about study habits, test-taking skills, just asking how their freshman year is going. So that, that really gives them that security of a freshman student, making sure they have what they need for that freshman year. So that's kind of our traditional program that we have, making sure kids are getting what they need.
Early childhood also does that. We do some of our schools do popsicle play dates. So once they're going from that early childhood to that elementary school, we're hosting a popsicle play date for those incoming kindergartners where they can just meet everyone, see their teacher, no one else is in the building, so that they just feel comfortable. The big kids aren't there yet. So, and also same thing with fifth grade transitioning to sixth grade. So how we formed our district character team and how we kind of set our goals. When we were looking at forming the team, we knew that there was this passion throughout Mehlville School District, and how are we going to, really focus and get a team going. And so we just simply looked at everyone who is certified and who, principal recommendation, who is really passionate about character education. And then when we met, we said, okay, we just need to figure out what our focus is and what the goal is going to be, what our mission is going to be. So we came up with the Mehlville School District. We'll work in partnership with families and communities to develop students of integrity who are caring, respectful, and responsible citizens. And this is what we live by in our character education team every time we're talking. And so we surveyed our community. This was kind of the next thing, and our community survey is on the link on the back page that we're going to show you. We felt that was valuable to share with you. So we email blasted everyone in the district, and then we also put it in our messenger that is mailed out, our Mehlville messenger, just to request paper copies if people wanted them. And people did. They came up to our communications department and got paper copies. So we just, set aside a month and said, we're looking for a few different things in the community survey. We had found that it had been 20 years since we had adopted new character traits. So that was the big goal. We need to see what the community wants Mehlville students to, what traits they want them to have as they're coming out into the community. And the response was very, very well taken. So we looked at that. And we also looked at how they perceived character in the district. We wanted to see what their thoughts were and how people perceived us and how they perceived character in our district. And then we just wanted to see how we promoted character throughout the community and through businesses also. So we wanted those business leaders to also talk about character education within. After doing that and coming up with those new traits, came together, said, okay, here's the top traits, where do they go? Obviously, certain ones lend itself in caring, in December. So we came up with that and came up with kid-friendly language for those character traits. And then we had the communication department just start making posters. We need to just make sure that everyone knows that these are the new character words. And then we needed a focus. We have a very large team, and so we said we need to just break off into subcommittees. And we knew we wanted to work on academic connections in character education. We wanted to work with business and community connections, and then we knew we wanted to write an application. And so we decided, who has a passion for this and these 3 areas, and we divided up.
I think one thing about the team is that we do have parents and community members on the team. And so I think that really made a lot of our meetings interesting because, again, our perception of the district, working in the district, is different than maybe a parent coming from that parent perspective, or a community member who don't have any, might not have any students. We have a large population in the Mehlville School District that have no students or no connections to the school. We have a large population that, might be elderly or just might not have children in the school. We also have a private, I don't remember the percentage, but private school. They go to private schools. So just getting their input even on the committees and things to see how they felt and everything. I think it opened my eyes at some of the meetings to hear from people out that weren't employees of the district.
Definitely. And then we did take the 11 principles self-assessment, which I shared with you also, and this was very eye-opening. It's on our link. We set up, I don't know if anyone's done Smart Clicker, or what else do you call it? Smart Clicker, Smart, we have it set up on our website for you, and we just got in a room and we just started going through 11 principles and rating. And so we have that file for you also created. So if you have Smart Clicker, you can have people just, you read the principle and then you rate yourself. So that's how we just kind of blindly had people rate, and that was eye-opening to see where people thought our strengths and where our weaknesses were.
At that same meeting, we kind of came to an agreement on our district touchstone, and it's caring people, changing lives. That's what everybody agreed on. We felt like there was something missing. It just wasn't complete. And our director of communications just flatly said, caring people, changing lives, it's just who we are. And for all of us, the rest of the argument was, well, how do you punctuate that? Is it supposed to be a period or apostrophe? It was a total agreement and consensus throughout. It's just who we are. And that has been kind of that unifying piece throughout all of our schools. That whether we're focusing on pure relationships and getting kids there and keeping them there at the alternative school, that's who we are. We're welcoming you. That's who we are. It may be different at Beasley or Blades, but that unifying piece is who we are.
I think one of the keynote speakers said something about that mission statement, like at the beginning, like Lori was reading the mission statement, because how many of us know the Mehlville actual mission statement? Like we have it hanging in our boardroom, we have it hanging in our schools and stuff, but to actually know it, we don't know it. And so this was something that everyone in the district knows, so like my parents and someone else's parents, they know that. And we're always saying, Dr. Canos has a saying about people's lives change when you come in contact with someone who cares, and that's a big thing, and that's constantly like the underlying tone of everything that I think we do in all of our buildings. So it's, what's good for that student is the focus. So I think this just gave us something that is like, okay, this is something we can remember, we can say, and unite us together again in that.
And then I guess I just wanted to say that we're continuing to grow through this process, you know, just because we were honored with this recognition, we're still going to communicate and try to grow through this process, communicate with the staff, the community members, and really focus in on those academic connections and the business community. Something that came out of all of this is Spark, and this comes from Dr. Peter Benson. This was kind of just something that ended up being a whirlwind within the district. Dr. Peter Benson talked about if students make connections or love life in some way, and a caring adult will bring that out in them, that they will succeed. And so they talk about student sparks, not necessarily their talent, but just something they love. They don't even have to be good at it. You know, it could be singing, and you know, it's maybe they're not the best singer, but just something they love to do. And so throughout the school district, this kind of became just this I don't even know how to call it. It was just this buzz.
Talking about, are you a Spark champion? And that means, are you an adult who supports a child's Spark? We started talking about staff Sparks, getting to know each other as people and staff. You know, I knew my staff and my staff knew me, but there were some things I probably never shared that were Sparks for me. And so we did a lot of just that kind of sharing. And it was neat. We made a video at our school, and I said it's probably one of the best videos we did as far as what our students' Sparks were. We started using Sparks, and I know other schools did, keeping track of making sure that we were recognizing student Sparks. I had preconceived things about some of my students, I think, that I was like, oh, I already know they're Spark soccer, because that's what they do every day at recess, and they play select soccer. We sat down and we're actually talking to kids. Some of them were very different, what their Spark was. So even though they love soccer, there was something else that I didn't know about them at all. So it was really an eye-opener. We started using that even with our clubs. We have a character council, things like that. We started saying, okay, what's your Spark? What's your talent? What do you like to do? And using that in all different aspects of our school.
Right. Well, we do a lot of essay writing on the Spark at our level, so we had students write essays about what is their Spark, what they love to do, or what ignites their fire to motivate them to move forward. So at the high school level, that's kind of how we address the Spark, and the students wrote about that. The video that you're going to see in a second is some of our high school students go and mentor students at the Early Childhood Center. And so one of the things we did there was have those students kind of talk with the little ones about what sparks them. And so that's what this next video is about. Did you guys want to say anything about the Spark before? So it's kind of long, but you'll get the picture pretty quick.
My Spark is my friends in music. Do you have a Spark?
It's my oven.
My Spark is doing what I love to do, like theater and music, and helping others, and also being with my loving family and friends. What's your Spark, Ellie?
My friends and family.
My Spark is graduating high school, moving on to college, and moving on to bigger and better things. What's yours?
My favorite Spark is playing my iPad all the time before bed or in the morning.
My Spark is teaching martial arts to younger kids. So what's your Spark, Lauren?
Playing with my blocks holding me and coming to school.
My Spark is graduation and my future. What's your Spark, babe?
Open Christmas presents.
My Spark is playing football. What's your Spark?
I'm playing in the snow.
My Spark is my friends. They make me come to school all the time. I like to see them all the time. And, yeah, that's my Spark. What's your Spark?
My Spark when Daddy cooks me eggs for breakfast.
Makes you eggs? Are they good? What else? Remember the toast? Toast?
And my mommy cuddles with me.
Nice.
My Spark is music, because it keeps me alive. What's your Spark?
My Spark, my mom cuddles me and she makes good dinner with me.
My Spark is being around my friends. What's your Spark?
Cake.
Cake? What's your Spark?
Piggies.
You're gonna have to say it to the camera. What?
When I eat cake, I get messy.
My Spark is Making an impact and helping people in need. What's your spark?
Magic.
What is it?
Magic.
Magic? That's a pretty good spark.
My spark is helping kids and to someday become a pediatric nurse helping kids. What's your spark?
Being with my baby brother.
Yeah.
One of the things we did this year for the first time, obviously Spark was kind of a whirlwind, an overall theme for our district. And that video was shot earlier in the year, and as the idea of Spark and Spark Champion developed, so did the ideas of who that Spark Champion was. We had an essay, I don't want to say contest, but essays were written about who the Spark Champion was, and identifying what your particular passion in life was for, and who is igniting that spark. The district put on a recognition night that we brought in those people. Some were parents, some were t-ball coaches, some were music teachers, some were very, for myself, there was a lot of, when watching it, there's a lot of staff members, but just as many community members were Spark champions. And to recognize those people in our community with our kids, it was just a really, really nice night. And again, our superintendent obviously is championing this whole idea of helping kids fall in love with life.
So we would like to show you the Mehlville School District page so we can show you where to go to get some of these documents and to give you more information. If you go to About Us and then go down to Character Education, you will get to this page. And our presentation, if you click here at the top. All the documents, we talked about the presentation, the contact information, the inventory sheet where it was kind of that first, place where we started to organize character education, that's on there. The community survey is on there that we came up with, and then our Smart Clicker self-assessment is also on there. But if you go to any of the, if you go to schools and you go to any of those schools, every school has a character education page.
And like for example, at Mehlville High School, if you go to character education to our page, we have several videos that you're welcome to view, which is one, our National School of Character video, but we also have our TAP video up there. Our students cycle through 4 years with our kids, so that builds relationships. But it also has lots of resources up here for you. At the high school level, we have what's called character captains. So we have about 160 character captains in our building that run our character education program. And this year, to continue our growth in character education, we just haven't stopped there. We were named 2 years ago, but we continue to grow. We have formed an executive character captain group that is about 15 kids. Out of that 160, and they work over the summer developing what we want good character and good service to look like within our building. And they've really kind of taken the lead with some staff members and just community members and really figured out, well, what do we want good character to look like? When we walk out of the doors as high school graduates, what do we want to look like as community members in St. Louis? So I think that's important from the high school perspective. That's our important role. Beth and I are at the high school level, and in the district, we really strive to get our kids to think about, as good citizens, what do I want to graduate and become? So that is our focus at the high school level, and we've really taken that on, and you'll see that we don't just talk about character ed, we talk about social responsibility and media, and so that lesson's on here. But having some of those tough conversations with kids and teaching kids to be those facilitators and leaders, not just with the high school students, but going down and mentoring the elementary and middle school kids, we encourage our students to do that. So again, cross-district conversations are happening, but what does that look like? We are hoping to give you those resources there too.
Another thing that we have on the Mehlville School District website is our application, our full application. If you'd like to see that, go to About Us. Yeah. So if you scroll back down to Character Education, at the very bottom, there is the application. So we shared that with you also, if you'd like to see that. And also the character posters that next story. Also the character posters that we share through the school and the community. So.
And our videos are out there too. They make great videos.
Yeah. Okay.
Questions?
Any questions? Well, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Great.